Alrighty, everyone. I'm Madison Crews, and I am joined with assistant coach and head coach Erika Duncan for Carolina Ascent FC, which was just announced yesterday. Cool name. I love the name. I think it's really cool.
It is. It is awesome. Hi, everybody.
Absolutely. Well, I also want to touch on the fact you're not only the assistant coach for the new Carolina Ascent, you're also the head coach for the pre-professional team. So how do you balance that?
Yeah, so the pre-professional team is known as the W League team. We play in a W League, which is like a summer league for pre-professionals. Um, it's been known in the past for to be a league and a team for players that are coming out of college or going into college or currently in college. So it helps them continue their development to prep for their fall season. And then it also now this year with the changes with the Super League and adding in a pro league for women, for females, it allows the players interested in W League to continue and see a pathway and a career forward. So it's kind of changed the dynamic with the W League a little bit more. In the past, it's been very college oriented, how to help players continue on their college career. But now the phone calls are, hey, coach, like, how do I play pro afterwards, right? How do I get on the right team, the right location with W League to allow me to my career after? So, which is really, really cool. The W League begins in May and it only goes through, well, but we're hoping to make it into playoffs into July. But our last scheduled game is the end of June. So it's a really, really fast, quick, high intense season. And then Super League starts in July. So it goes they back up to each other. So I'm busy starting now as we're building the Super League roster, trying to figure everything out with the Super League, building the W League roster too, which luckily I got a chance to do starting in January as we had to try out in January and things like that. So kind of they're going hand in hand right now. And the cool thing about W League is you may see some Super League players on that W League team prepping for Super League season. So there's a little bit of crossover. It's really cool to be a part of it.
Yeah, and I mean, you kind of mentioned it a little bit in that question, but beforehand, at least for women's soccer, it was really much just you play college and then you go pro. There
Yeah.
wasn't this like building block, kind of like how other teams do have, where they have this development program that they go up to and then get to the first team. How has it
Right.
been establishing that and seeing that process grow, especially in women's soccer?
Unbelievable. Honestly, in college a long time ago now, but I tried to go pro afterwards and it was just the league ended up folding right after I went to some tryouts and there just really wasn't that pathway. So now with the USL and including the Super League and now getting the W League under that, the entire umbrella, and then there's the U20 and then there's an academy, there's an entire pathway now for female players to continue their soccer career. So it's very different in terms of players now see that they can continue. Like before, it was 4 years of college soccer. I'm going to do the best that I can in those 4 years, and then boots, and I'm moving on to be an adult in the adult world, right? And I've been studying to be a doctor. I've been studying to be a nurse. I've been studying to be, studying business or whatever that is. And now it's like, okay, now I'm going to go play summers on a summer team to allow me to get my foot in the door for a pro career. Whether that's here in the States, hopefully the pathway is provided with the Super League. But there's so many opportunities now, even overseas. A lot of our Super League roster players that we're looking to bring in to that roster have been playing overseas in Europe, Australia, different places. So the opportunity is just unbelievable right now. It's completely exploding for women's soccer. It's unreal.
Absolutely. And I want to talk a little bit about this crossover. You mentioned that as well, this crossover between the pre-professional team and then going into the pro. How do you plan and going forward and building those connections with that pre-professional team and then letting that kind of come over into the first team if that is that crossover?
Yeah, so our established situation right now is that we're looking to build our Super League roster, right? And I've basically got a W League roster already established. That's because we were kind of ahead of the game a little bit. But the way that I've talked to players and player in conversations with players that are playing with the W League is that they are asking like, what would my exposure be? And I'm able to sell that as well, right? So it's a recruiting tool that I can say, listen, the head coach of the Super League is going to be at our training sessions. He's going to come out. He's going to check you out. He's going to come to our games. It's a massive connection. And along with that, I'm also the assistant for the Super League. So I've got my eyes on them day in and day out, seeing them in different environments, seeing them in a professional environment, not just on highlight videos, right? So it's a real good sell for us to build the W League and to bring in top players to say, hey, Super League is your next step. And then it's also, if you flip that over, you've then got Super League players who maybe are in between contracts. You know, they've ended their contract where they are right now, and they may be looking to continue playing. Or we've got the pre-professionals who haven't had a chance to sign a contract at this point, but they're not signing with Super League until July. And we can invite them in to train in our environment, to maybe possibly play in our environment too. And then also, like, if there are some injuries or there's players that are looking to get more minutes under their belt, like, we can have that. It's almost looked at as a little bit of a reserves, right? Like, how can we help each other? And the fact that we have that good connection between myself and Philip is just, it's really cool. And we can both be involved in both capacities.
I didn't even think about that it kind of is used as a recruitment tool as well.
Yeah.
Having you be there, and then you're like, hey, I also work here too. And it's
Yeah,
great. So yeah,
exactly.
I didn't even think about that. That's
Yeah.
awesome. But
Yeah.
I mean, I also do want to talk about your relationship with Philip Poole as well, being the head coach. How did you guys know each other? How did you get brought into this fold, and how was and working with him?
Yeah, Philip is amazing. What a professional. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I still get starstruck when I get around Philip. I'm like, wow, this guy. You know, we see him on TV when he's coaching the Gold Cup, and I'm like, I know him. So that's really cool. I actually didn't know him beforehand. So I just moved to North Carolina back almost 2 years ago now. But he's a big name in the state and in this area, especially for soccer. He's worked with numerous clubs and numerous players, and he just happened to, I think he was talking with Charlotte Independence, and he was talking to some people that he knew, and I think my name was coming up, and he just called me. We connected for the W League tryout, and he came out and he was there. That was the first time we met. We probably had a very brief conversation because it was a busy day. And then a couple of days later, I contacted him. I said, hey, W League players, I'm looking for this person, this person, this person. And he called me and he was just like, Erika, like, would you want to be my assistant for Super League? And I was like, me? Who, me? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. Like, I just, being around you. And he talked me up, which was amazing. And he said that you'd had a lot of good feedback. And I jumped at the chance. I said, absolutely. I mean, that's a dream come true. I went from coaching college, decided to take a different path and go full-time youth soccer here in Charlotte. And it's been great. It's been a real learning curve, real challenge, different from coaching the high-level college Division I players, and a different challenge for sure. But I always knew, even in the last couple of years, like W League, that was working W League the last 2 summers, that was where I really had the passion. That was where I was really pushing for, that level, that professional level. And so as soon as the Super League came about, I was like, I want to be involved in any capacity that I can. And then it just fell right on my lap, and I couldn't be more grateful. I really couldn't. For Philip to choose me out of everybody that he knows, I thank him. I think daily at this point. I'm just so excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, and you guys are coming into this league. You guys are one of the new teams. It's a big thing that's starting up. How have you guys been able to adjust with this new transition, getting ready for this league? Because it's something we haven't seen. And
Yeah.
it's so exciting, especially in women's soccer, to get to see something like this, because we have NWSL as well. And that has been the biggest thing going forward. But now having another league, another professional league for women's soccer, it's great. It's so awesome.
Yeah, there's some growing pains, so to speak, I guess. Everything is new. Everything's still being figured out. There's the behind the scenes parts that I don't really have much to do with, which is, I think, a good thing for me. This is the first time, like a first opportunity I've really had where I just get to coach. I just have to show up and be on the field, and I get to work directly with the players, and I get to talk tactics and X's and O's, and that's what we're trying to win games, right? But in terms of building the league, the USL has been phenomenal. The president of USL, or the president of the Super League, she was in town last night for our brand reveal, and she's just so happy and so passionate. And it's just been such a great experience to try to be a part of building and creating something new. And yes, we do have NWSL, but here in Charlotte, we have every level of sports, professional sports, every sport, but a women's professional team and a women's professional soccer team. And so it's perfect. The city's perfect. The community has been phenomenal, jumping on board and really supporting it. That's been the coolest thing. Just last night at our brand reveal, I walked in and I just saw so many faces of players and families that I coached just in the last 2 years. They're supporting and just being so excited about having something to show their young daughters that they can continue on this pathway. And that was like the most eye-opening, heartwarming thing from our brand reveal last night, was to see all those young girls there ready to just be like in awe of professional players, right? And to see that they can do it too. Not even just players, like coaches too. And that's the other part too. And I know that's a big thing for the Ascent, was how to get females involved. So you can see an entire pathway. It doesn't just have to be as a player. It can be as a coach as well, or even equipment, right? It can be, and things that Ashley does, jobs behind the scenes and marketing. And females are fully involved in this Super League. And it's really, really growing the female presence in the game of soccer, in the sports world.
I feel like with soccer too, it's always been kind of labeled as like, oh, it's for the guys.
Yeah.
And, it's always been for the guys. At least like when I was growing up, I did it too. I played up until I was 13, 12, and then I kind of stopped. I was like, okay, this is like fine, but I still loved the sport. And I've loved getting to see, especially the U.S. women's national team, selling out stadiums for the She Believes Cup, getting to see these leagues get built, getting to see this more awareness. I feel like it's so impactful and it's so great to watch and inspiring for young players who are going to come up and they're going to see these, be like, oh my gosh, I can do this. Like I can be developed from a professional standpoint all the way up until I make it pro. And that's great. Cause I feel like beforehand it was always like, oh, I'm either going to play in college and then I'm going to go to the US women's national team, or I'm going to play in college and I'm going to go do my other degree.
Yep, exactly. There was a very, very tight, narrow pathway, right? Like there was only one direct line, and now there's so many other lines and possibilities. And you see, it's not even just America, right? Like there's women's soccer, or women's football, I probably should say, right? It like across the entire world, the academies, the money that's being put into the new leagues in England and Spain and Germany, in every European country. There's players that I coached in college that are playing in Denmark and Austria. Like just the fact that when I played a long time ago, a lot of those players, I remember specifically one girl that was a senior, and I'm from Scotland, so I always wanted to play soccer. It was like, that was it. Like I thought I was going to continue on to play, couldn't play anymore. So got into coaching. But I remember specifically one of the girls from my class, my senior class, at the end of our very last game, we went back to the house and she nailed her boots to the wall. Like that was it. Her career was over. Like it was 4 years, done, move on. And then so just to be able to create the opportunities, the pathways, to see it grow, to see it continue. And again, just across the entire world, right? Like everybody's jumping on board and it's only going to get better.
Absolutely. And I want to move into these last couple questions for you about just the Carolina Ascent FC fans. I mean, getting to look at some of the photos, getting to see some of the stuff that you guys had at your premiere party last night.
Yeah.
I mean, it's clear that I believe, especially in that area, you have such a big, strong soccer presence. Carolina Core's up there, Charlotte Independent, Charlotte FC. There is a soccer footprint there. And so kind of when you were there at that party, getting to see all those fans, I mean, how did it feel getting to see everyone in the Carolina Ascent FC like crest, getting to wear all that stuff? I mean, how did it feel for you?
It was unreal. So we walked in and, we're all wearing unbranded gear. There's this like we've been sitting waiting for this day to happen. We've had pro days, we've had tryout days, and we haven't even through W League, like In the last couple of years, we were Charlotte Independence. This year, we're taking on the Carolina Ascent name. But as I'm building the roster and trying to recruit, I wasn't able to say a name, a team name. We don't know our team name at this point. We don't know what our logo is going to be, but come play for us. That'll be great. And so last night walking in and just, first of all, I was taken aback by the number of people that just kept walking through the door and that sat around and listened and were just chatting. And it was such a cool environment for women's soccer to be part of that, to see that the people were there to support us, to support the women's soccer. It was unreal to step in there. And then I think the biggest part for me was like the way that they've brought the marketing team have done such a great job to bring everybody together and to bring such awareness to who we are and to why the name was chosen, why the logo was chosen, why the colors, like, and it's so detailed and it's so specific to this area. And the cheers that went around when you talked about, we've agreed terms with Charlotte locals, right? We've got these partnerships with all these local people, these local clubs. The owners are local. Everything to do with the logo and the name, it was chosen by the locals. And I think that part is just so, like, it's so unique, I think. And it really gets everybody on board. That makes them feel like they're part of something and they're part of it. And it's going to continue. I hope it's going to continue to grow, and we'll sell tickets and we'll get people in the stands. And, it's new, and everything that you got to start somewhere, right? But I think last night I was expecting a couple of hundred people. And then when I walk in and they see all the pictures and the vibe that was there and just the environment itself, like the amount, like it just goes to show what things can be and how quickly they can grow. And so, yeah, this is a great start, but we're not going to settle for this. We're going to continue to push, and we're going to fill the stands at the stadium, and we're going to keep really showing and being leaders for young females.
I know I'm going to try and come up there and see a game. After seeing everything, I was like, I got to get up there. I was like, I want to come watch the game.
Yeah.
I also got to get me some of that gear too.
Yes.
I love that. I love the logo. The logo.
Isn't it so cool? It's funny. So
cool.
We've been talking about, what gear to use and what colors we should be training in and stuff. And I'm like, the logo itself, like everything needs to be plain so the logo pops itself, just because it's so unique and it's so bright and it's so eye-catching. It's perfect. It really is perfect. Everything that happened last night was perfect. It gave me chills. It was so great.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get me a scarf. I'm gonna have to get me a jersey. I'm gonna get everything. I'm gonna be Carolina Ascent FC.
I love it. We'll make sure it happens.
Absolutely. But my last question for you, Coach, is I want to talk about the mentality and the message and what you guys want to bring forward. When people think of the name Carolina Ascent FC, what do you want them to think of immediately when they hear that name?
I think what the biggest thing that we're looking to do is just, it's the pathway. I keep coming back to the pathway. It's opportunity. We can do this too. There's no reason, right? There's no reason why we should sit back and let other cities take this on. We can do this. And Carolina, it's going to be a very big community. It's going to be local. It's going to be driven by the locals, but it's going to be competitive. And we're here to win. We're here, we're here to be professional. We're here to bring in and attract the top players. It's a little difficult at this moment, but the city right now is growing so much that we want to be a big part of that. And I think that we can help that, right? We can continue to jump on that, and we can have players from all over the world, within the next couple of years, bring in these top players. We want to challenge NWSL. We want to challenge the likes of, clubs that are in the towns of Tampa or Fort Lauderdale, which may seem more appealing to some. But for us, it's like we're Charlotte. Like we're growing, the city's growing, and we can do this too. And it's a community. It's a feeling of home. It's a feeling of support. It's a feeling of this is who you are, and you're going to be noticed, and you're going to be valued. And I think that's the route that we're really looking to take, is to make sure everything we do is meaningful and that it's connected to the community.
Absolutely. Well, Coach Duncan, I just want to say again, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. I really enjoyed our conversation. I mean, I love talking about women's soccer and soccer in general. So this
Yeah.
was great. This was great for
No,
me.
no, it's fantastic. I could do this all day. I love talking about it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity, and it was great to meet you.
Yes, you as well.
Awesome.